Hi everyone. Let me just get my chat up so I can see any comments. Okay, well, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Tonight we're going to have some fun with watercoloring and we're going to use the Mixed Florals Bundle. And I know I've shown that before, but when I did my first tutorial with it, I didn't have the dies because you know what? I didn't know that it came as a bundle. That's so funny. So my name's Kathy Schmitt and I am the Backyard Stamper. And I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Loudon, New Hampshire. So we'll flip the camera and get started. We have a lot to do tonight. Okay, so we're going to be doing some cards using the Mixed Florals stamp set and their coordinating dies. When you purchase them together, you save 10% on both. And you will find these under the online exclusives on my website, kathyschmidt.stampinup.net. So that's what we're going to use. And then for our other supplies, we have a piece of basic beige, 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. We have another piece of basic beige, and that one is 5 1/4 by 4. That is going to get embossed and it will be our layering piece. So it's tone on tone. Then we have a piece of watercolor paper, and that paper comes in a package like this. And they are 5 by 7. So what I did was cut it in half, so it's 5 by 3 1/2. And that's the perfect size for my flowers. And then you need a 1/4 sheet of basic white for the inside. And just a scrap of basic beige for the sentiment. So we're going to have, let me show this one here. We're going to have just a scrap for this little piece right here. Okay. Then additionally so we're using this watercolor paper, and we're also going to use this exposed brick 3D embossing folder. And that one looks like this here. Very nice. I used this on my daughter's wedding invitations because it was just so subtle for the background, gave it a beautiful texture. And the other bundle we're going to use is Unbounded Love. And this has all sentiments, and it's got inside and outside sentiments. So, and they're beautiful sayings. And then you have these lovely dies that will fit the sentiments and lots of other sentiments that you might have on hand. And we are going to use the one that is, well, it goes right here. And it's that shape I showed you earlier. All right, so when you, so let's set up our embossing first. So I have my 1/4 sheet here, the 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to put it in my embossing folder. And I tend to keep the Stampin' Up! Logo facing up, and they have this handy little line at the bottom here. Sorry, the lights are glaring, I can tell. So they have this little black line, which really helps you keep it straight. And so you just kind of keep it lined up, just like that. And then you have to use your base plate number 1 and the specialty plate number 4. Because this is a 3D embossing folder, you're going to follow the pattern down here. Base plate number 1, then your die, your 3D die, then your specialty plate, which is plate number 4. Just like that, through the embossing machine. And it looks like this when it comes out. Okay, so that's that part. And we'll go ahead and stick that down right on here, so we've got it out of the way and nothing's going to happen. When I have embossed pieces, I tend to use liquid glue. It gets into the nooks and crannies and tends to adhere really nicely for all the texture that's going on. Okay, so we're going to put that, well, just like that. All right, now we're going to go ahead and stamp on our watercolor paper. And these flowers are huge. So this is my big block. This is block letter I, nope, sorry, F. And the block itself is 5 by 6. So it's a hefty size block. The best way to ink that is upside down. So you have you're going to lay the thing down and put your ink on top. I went ahead and stamped them already just so I had that part done. So I have both flowers stamped. Okay. Now the fun part. Let's get to painting. So when I showed you before, I was like, wet this, then let it dry, then do this, then do that. And you know what? I have just a little quicker way to do it. And I'm going to put this paper towel right there and kind of hides that glare. Okay. So I'm going to just move my water right here so I can use my little, I like to kind of wash off some of the water there. So what I did was I used some re-inkers, but you can also press your spots right into this block. And just, I added a lot of water. So there's really very little ink and a lot of water. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and start with my yellow. And I'm just going to swish it down. And I'm not pre-wetting the watercolor paper like I did the last time. I'm just using my very watered down color. And I'm going to do a wash like that. Okay. And while that's drying, let's dip into some Granny Apple Green and do some leaves. Again, very wet. That's what I want, is nice fluid leaves. The whole card's going to be fluid, which is what watercolor is all about. And I tend to do the dry technique, which is not wetting the paper all around, because I have a little bit of impatience, and if you don't let each section dry, it kind of all runs together. So if I wet my whole paper, I tend to end up with a little bit muddier than if I just do the dry technique, which I'm calling this the dry technique. I haven't wet my paper ahead of time. I'm just using the wet water, or the water, yeah, the water. This is Old Olive, and I'm going to just bring in a little bit of the darker green. And I'm going to just wet certain spots on the leaves and let them blend, let them pool and spread the way they kind of want to do it. Just like that. Okay. And then I'm going to just wet my Azure Afternoon, dip that in, and I'm just going real fluid little water. I mean, little flowers. And if some are darker than others, that's perfect. I think in my next class, we're going to use this flower for it. And I think I'm going to use colored pencils so that you guys don't have to worry about water and everything at the table, because, you know, all it takes is somebody to bump the table and we've got a catastrophe. Okay, so that is just about done. I just am picking up a little bit of brown that I had off to the side, and I'm going to, that was not quite wet enough, but that's all right. Just like that, and just like this. Okay, so that one's done for now. I'm going to come back in, but I'm just going to set that aside, and we'll do the tulip. See how fast that was? That last time I was like, oh boy, you know, you got to do this and then let it dry and then do that. And it's like, no, this time we're going to just do it really quick. So I'm just going to wash my leaves again using the Granny Apple Green that's very watered down. And let's see, that goes there. So for On Stage, which is the Stampin' Up! Convention, it's in 13 days or 14 days, and I'm so excited. But I have 2 more swaps to finish, and this is one of them. I'm in an organized swap for sympathy cards, and I thought that these flowers with the beige texture, with that soft exposed brick background, and keeping these light, the flowers light and fluid, just would make a perfect sympathy card, if there is a perfect sympathy card, you know what I'm saying? So now I'm just going back in with my old olive, and I'm just adding it here and there. I'm going to try to keep it where like a shadow would be underneath where the leaf is folded over, maybe under that grouping on the bottom here, kind of in between the Granny Apple Green. There's some dark areas right under there. Just like when you do the blends, you kind of like take the cheat lines and put your darker color and let your lighter color blend that in. So I'm kind of using the cheat lines here and the shadows to add my dark and my lights. If you get a big blob, you can wipe it off with a paper towel. And I've had to do that. We won't say how many times, but it's been known to happen. The hard part for me is, what color is a tulip stem? Because I did it kind of beigey, and that didn't look right, and then I went back to the green, and then it kind of blended in. So I don't know what color it is, but we're going to go with the greens just so I don't make a mess of my stem like I did the last time trying to figure it out. And I'm just dotting in some of the darker color and letting it kind of spread on its own. Okay? That looks pretty nice. Okay, what do you guys think? And let's say hi, Ian and Janet and Cindy. Woo woo! You guys are the best to come join me every week. All right, so for my tulip, I've got Pretty in Pink, and that looks like really bright. But once it's watered down, see, it comes out pretty light. So I'm just going to wash my tulip with my Pretty in Pink. And then I'll go back in and add some of the darks. And for the dark, I'm using Melon Mambo for my dark pink area. I have to fix my project sheet because I said berry burst. But it was Melon Mambo. So we've got that in there. And then I'm going to just do my blue, and I'll set this one aside and we'll go back to the Coreospis. So I know Cindy likes the tulips. Janet and Anne, what do you like? Do you like the tulips or the Coreospis? For just flowers in general, you know? They both come in a variety of colors, so it's not about the color. So we'll take a little poll. Personally, I like the Coreospis because, for real flowers, because in the garden they last longer than tulips. I mean, all it takes is the tulips to open up. They look so beautiful, and a big, giant, windy day comes, and bah, they're gone. And the Coreospis can kind of hang tight. Ooh, Anne, I surprised you, huh? All right, let's just set that one, and I'm going to come back to this because I need to add a little bit more yellow. That flower is pretty light, and I am just going to blot this brown because it's there. I kind of had a puddle of water and I could see it. Okay, so I've got, now I'm going to come in and I'm actually going to pick up a little bit of crushed curry. I just put it right in that little spot there. You can see that it's a darker yellow. And I am going to just add some of that in to my flower. Again, just kind of filling in, and leave some white when you watercolor. You always want to leave a little bit of white space. And sometimes it's painful to do that. You tend to. The other thing too, on my, I'll show you my first couple attempts, because I'll show you what happens if you don't stop. You know, you overwork it to death. I'll show you kind of what happens. There. And see, you don't want all the white in the same spots, like all my tips were white. And so I'm just going back to dot in some color for them. And I think I'm going to call this one done, except I just want to add one more thing. I want to just kind of add a little bit of green to my stem here. Not too much, because it's just, they're so thin, I'm barely touching it. It's going to give the illusion of connecting it. And I think I forgot to mention that you need to use StazOn when you're using watercolor. Yeah, you know, Janet, I love the animals and I love all the whimsy, but honestly, my customers really like the flowers, so I have gone back to doing more flowers this year. And I actually am enjoying it myself, because I was on such a no flower kick. I guess I kind of missed it. So now when I'm coming back in with my pink, I'm going to start from the bottom and brush up, because the bottom is where it's going to be the darkest. See how I'm just brushing it up? I hope you can see that. Coming up from the bottom, like so. I'm working on trying to get some better lighting. I have some overhead lights, but they're very old fluorescent lighty kind of thing. And I think that I can find some better lights. I just need it to be able to work with my desk. How do you guys think the lighting is? Is it too dark? It's hard for me to tell because I'm looking at the computer, the computer picture of what I'm doing. Okay, so I've got this, and I think those tulips look sensational. What do you think? I'm going to just add just a tad of Melon Mambo. Just barely. See how I'm picking up some of the pretty in pink, and I had just a dab of Melon Mambo, and I'm going to flick that up. We'll see how we like that. Oh yeah. Yep, that works great. Okay, so I'm starting at the bottom, and that's where it's going to be in the shadow anyways. And then kind of along any of these where the petal kind of looks like it's tucked under is where I'm going with a little darker color. And see, my tulip is still very wet, and that's why the Melon Mambo is just following the water up. Oh yeah, I love that. All right, so I'm going to call that one done too. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to die cut these out. So you've got a die that goes on this big guy, like so. And the other die goes on this one. You can do the animals the same way, Janet. You can watercolor anything, but the key is you really need to have the watercolor paper because the basic white will just buckle, and then that's no fun. And you got to make sure you use the right ink. And if you've been around a while, when I can't find my StazOn, I reach for this. This is the Archival Basic Gray, and this is like a StazOn. It's a permanent ink. And the water doesn't bother it. So if you can't find the StazOn and you have one of these kicking around, Archival, we had basic gray, basic brown, and basic black. And my basic black, I don't know, it kind of changed color, so that one's no good to use. But so you die cut these pieces here and just use your Post-it note tape, you know, to hold it down. And then when you're done, they come out like this. Okay, so I'm going to use these, even though the colors are off a little bit. Just, well, you know what? If you guys don't mind, let's cut the ones that I'm working on with these. Why not, right? Because they're almost dry, and I just have to get up and use my die cutting machine. So hold the phone, and I will be right there. We got some more snow today. I think we got another 3 inches. We've had a banner year for the snow. I still haven't made it out for snowshoeing though. And in case you couldn't hear, I have an electric die cutting machine. I hope that Stampin' Up comes out with one, because I don't know what I would do if my Vagabond ever broke. And you know, things happen. The motors burn out or whatever. But when I'm doing a lot, like for a swap or getting ready for my classes, I tend to use the electric one because otherwise I get a little sore. Oh, that looks fantastic. I'm so excited. Okay, let me cut the other one out. We'll do the tulips. I love how these tulips came out. I'm so psyched. Okay, so let me get that. All right. So press that, pull these out. Okay. So from the package of watercolor paper comes with 10 sheets of 5x7, and I used half a sheet, and that is so you can get 20 from a pack. I got my spread just a little smidgy. So let me see if I can wipe that up. My pink, it's hardly even noticeable. There. I think when the paper is all the way dry, it will fade into the moonlight. Yes, I think their paper is in the catalog. Let me take a look. They probably didn't show a picture of it, which is why it's a little harder to find. And while these are just finishing the drying, let me just look this up real quick. They've said they're changing some of the catalog back to some of the ways it was. We'll see if that's true. Let's see here. I need to look under paper. Paper. Watercolor paper, page 118. What do you know? Let's see how big the picture is. Oh, you guys, there is no picture. Okay, watercolor must-haves. The Fluid 100 5x7 watercolor paper. 10 sheets, it's $9. And the Stays On pad. They have the jet black and the saddle brown. And this was my inspiration for my pear colors. So, my pear cards I made for my daughter. All right, so let's move on. We've got lots to do. All right, so now the next thing is you need a piece of old olive that is 3 by 5.5. So just cut a sheet in 5.5, and then you're going to die cut with this big leaf, this floral image. Now, I've already done that, but so the best way to pop it out is to use your die brush, okay? And the second best way is to use a piece of wax paper before you do it. So I did not use the wax paper, so I'm just going to use my die brush, and this works great. Also, banging it works good too. So it looks like I got all the bits and pieces out. So now we just need to take your pick tool and get it out of there. There. Oh, isn't that fantastic? Oh. So on my first one I did the eyelet embossing folder, and I thought it took away from the flower a little bit. And I also used garden green leaves and granny apple green, and that didn't work too well. Well, it's okay. I'll put it that way. It's okay. So what I want to do is, so like if you take this tulip, like the whole thing gets covered with, so I don't want to do that. So I am like snipping away. Snip, snip, snip. So I just kind of followed some line to go up so I can get that one cut off. And let's see here. I like this long one. I like this whole side piece. So I'm going to just cut up to like where there's a gap, like that. And I have that piece. Okay, and then I have these other pieces here. So we'll put together one of them because I didn't have another piece die cut for this. And actually I want to do the Coreospis because I have the other tulip card done. This one I had the wrong background on. So to do this, I'm just going to put some seal on the back and on this flower over here to hold my little grass down. So I want this to kind of come up behind, but I want these little guys to show. So you know what I'm going to do? I am going to snip because I want those guys poking out. So we'll go ahead and put these on. Oops, and you got to be a little mindful of how tall your card's going to get. So if by doing that, and I'll snip off the bottom piece that is showing, but by kind of tipping it that way, I get to see this piece and this piece. I really like that. Okay, so I have that, and then I'm going to have this little guy poking out behind. Actually, maybe on this side. So let's see how it looks. Let's get this one going. That's a little broken off piece. We'll snip that. Oh, I like that. So like that. And I'm just using the tape, so I need a little bit of seal up here to stick it down. And let's see. I don't want it like exactly on top of that the top of the thing, like it's a headband or a crown. So kind of like that, or like this. Well, I got another grass for the other side, so we'll do it like that. I like that. And then we have this beautiful piece, and this has a little piece that needs to, oh, it looks like it's going to pop out, but it doesn't. It's just a split on the grass. Oh, isn't that neat? Like so. I've got a little bouquet already. And let me just add a little bit more snail, or seal. Okay, so like that. And then I think I am going to put this guy on this side here. I'm going to just poke it out behind. Kind of like that. Kind of like that. I'm trying to I'm arranging my bouquet. See, the leaves are, the flowers are curving that way, so I feel like they need to stay on this side. So that's what we're going to do. And we're just going to adhere it to the leaf that's right here instead of where all the other pieces are gathering at the bottom. And that way I can make it as a little bit longer. See? Okay, so let's bring back in my card front, and like that, and I'm going to put it like this, kind of tipped a little bit like that, and I want to pop that up, so I'm going to put dimensionals overlapping some of these areas too, to help hold the grass in place. And I need to give it a little haircut down here. Let's see here, maybe one more. See how much. So I can see a little bit showing right there of the green, so I'm just going to snip. I think my tag would have hidden it, and I'm going to leave that one because I'm afraid if I cut that one, that whole thing might fall apart. Okay, so I have that, and I need just a little smidgen one on this piece right here. Help hold that guy down. All right, so I've got my pieces. Whoops. All right, so we'll just lift off our backings. And that one there. Okay. And oh, how pretty. Let's see here. I need it to stay over so I have room for my tag, which can go right there. Okay. So, what do you think? And let's see here. So I've got my little tag. And what's really neat about this die is it gives you, I don't know if that's going to show up or not, but it gives you a little edging on the top of your tag, so it's not just a boring tag. And I put my dimensional on ahead of time to help save time, but I'm going to move it over in between those flowers. So see, I hid that grouping down there. And let's put another dimensional right there. We'll put it a little bit under the stem here. Help that one behave. Like so. At first it was a little weird to me to have the sentiment so low, because I don't normally keep them that low. And but you know, it works for this card. And it's about the comfort, not about where my sentiment is. It's about the thought and everything. So I got that on a little crooked, of course. Okay, so I've got that, and I tied my bow already. Where did it go? Oh, you know what? I think it's, nope, it's not inside. It's in my little bin. Here it is. Oh, you know what? I had already cut those ahead of time. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to put together the tulip card too, since I already have most of it done. All right, so I tied a bow with the basic beige. It's basic beige ribbon, obviously, and it's called the bordered ribbon. So just enough to take up some of that space on the tag and kind of make it nice and soft. Okay, so we'll set that aside. Let me do the tulip one really quickly, and then I'll show you some of the other cards I made. So again, I'm going to snip this off here. And then I know I want to cut this one right up. I kind of go up one of the legs there and take that long piece. And then I did not cut that side. Okay, so this is what I did. I just aimed it. Whoop, I got a pop out that didn't pop out. Come on, you. There it goes. And actually these pop-outs could be other blades of, see, could be another blade. So, all right, so I'm just gonna, again, add some seal down there. And I've got a couple little doodads that didn't finish popping out. They're just those little pieces there. And then I'm going to lean it over to the side. And I'm looking at my sample I did before. So I came up a little higher, just about like so. I think I had this piece cut. Hold on one second here. It looks like I had that piece cut. They're going to be side by side, but I'm making that piece just a little bit longer so I can see. So I have my little sprigs here and the grasses. And then I'm going to lean this one over to the side more. Kind of like that. Kind of like that. Okay. Like so. And then this side gets this long piece, and I'm going to tip that so I can poke my sprig there and the leaf out. So I've got those two. Oh, I don't have any tape on that side. But you really feel like you're arranging some flowers in your kitchen when you're doing this. It's kind of neat. All right, so I've got it like that. That looks good. And then this sprig is just going to come back over here and poke out right by that tulip. Nice and high like that. So there's that one. Let's bring in the card base like so. It all fits barely. So I need to just make a little bit of an adjustment here. My grass got too long. Where's my husband at? Okay, oops. I think what I want to do is keep it longer, but just tip it a little bit more. Now we're getting wild. There, there, there. We got it. All right, so just needs to make sure that they all fit inside, and they do. That looks good. Okay, so let me put my dimensionals on there. And again, we're going to overlap some of the grass. Help hold it all in place. And then the rest of it can just go wherever. The rest of the dots, I mean. And we'll put one more there. Yep, it's nice and supported. Okay, so let me get the backings off. And because I didn't wet that paper so much, I'm handling these pieces that I painted tonight. And they really are dry. So, and you're funny. Okay, so I'm going to put it, this time my tulips are going to the side. And this grass has to kind of come up a little bit. Oh, that was dumb. I'm just going to move that down. Of course, I put the dimensional there. Okay. That should be enough. Oh, you know what? It's not that I have to move it down. I have to stop tipping it so much. It's way too tippy. And I need another dimensional there because that one is just on the green and it's moving all over the place. So we'll do it that way. Okay. And this little guy can come out. Now I'm just being a fuss budget here. Okay, just like that. Just a little bit. Okay, there we go. It all fits. The old olive is definitely a better color than the darker color for the piece. And here's my with sympathy. Now this one I've got some dimensionals, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hide where that pink ran right there. So let me move this dimensional over a little bit. And I'll put some tape here and peel off my backing. Oh, that looks good. And I covered up my little boo-boo, my impatient boo-boo, just like that. Okay, and then I have my little glue dot box. I love making these. Because why should we have a boring glue dot box, I ask. Okay, isn't that just soft and pretty? And so for the inside, I did My Heart Goes Out to You, and this is just another stamp in the set. So, and I did the same on the inside on this one. Let me put my little brushed brass butterflies on. That is really a tongue twister. I do hope these don't retire, but I have a feeling they're going to. And you know what? I'm going to stock up because they are just the perfect little element for your card. Put that like that. We'll put a big one on. Kind of. There. Like that. So sweet. And then we'll put, these guys are going to be following each other. I got one up there. Tip it to the side, like so. And one right here. There. And then for the last thing, a little wink of Stella, and I squeezed it out and it ran all over the place earlier, so I'm going to hold it up while I'm doing it to make sure. This is my drier one, so let me get my wet one. Okay. So I'm just going to hold, what I do is I hold my card a little more vertical so my pen is not hanging down like that, and it kind of keeps it from gushing out from where I over squeezed earlier. And I'm just dotting it on the blue flowers. And a little bit on the brown. I meant to go back into the brown and add a couple of spots there, but I forgot. Okay, that one's done, and then this one, do the same thing, just the blue. Oh, I love the way these tulips came out tonight. And I've had such a problem. I know I keep saying I really love it, but I'll show you some of my other ones, and you'll see that I think the tulips were the harder one to color. So that's pretty good. And I got done 2 watercolors and yakking in about 45 minutes. So that's pretty good. Complete cards. So here's the other one I did that inspired this. And this is the Berry Burst. So that's why that one's a little darker. And on this one, I did use the Old Olive. That's when I decided Old Olive was the right color. So when you watercolor, they're never going to turn out the same. This one I mixed some Granny Apple Green and Garden Green. And it's okay because my flower is so dark, but I prefer just the simple Old Olive. And then I also had made these cards before. This is before I got the dies, so I didn't know I could get the dies. So I didn't get my 10% for the bundle purchase because I bought them separately. So even us demonstrators have that happen. And then here's my Daisy one. And I love how, or Brown-Eyed Susan, I love how this one came out. It's really pretty. And then I just washed in. So if you didn't do the cutout like this, then there's a lot of white space for your, on the watercolor paper. So I just washed some Pool Party, I think it was, or Balmy Blue, real light. But see how like the leaves. So what I was going to tell you about so if you don't know when to stop, then you just keep overworking it and overworking it. So see how I kept overworking this area here and I lost all of the dimension. It really just looks like it muddied together. And here's where I was trying to decide what color are the stems. So that one's kind of messy. And then this one, I didn't let it dry, so it ran all over. Way outside the lines I colored on that one. But I'll still use that. I'll send it to somebody that I know is just going to throw it away. And then this one, I started getting it right, but I still wasn't happy with the way it washed in. I felt like I still overworked it a little bit. And then this one came out pretty nicely. So they all come out a little different, but you really just need to like stop, like see how light this tulip is compared to this one. Now keep in mind they are two different colors. That almost was an accident. So because of the berry burst, but I had the pretty in pink right under it, but I just did it really dark. And then I did the berry burst, and then I kept working it in. So I like how it came out, but I love how soft this one is. What do you think? So, and here's the last reminder about celebration. It's over tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time. So, you have your more to celebrate options. Look, the brushed brass butterflies. It's so hard to say. Is on the more to celebrate list. This one is out of stock now. The house plants. So that one's out of stock, and I'm thinking this one might be too, but I'm not going to cross it off yet. So that's on the more to celebrate, and then everything that's in here, I believe, is still available. Yesterday, the heart-shaped one was on low inventory, so this bundle here was on low inventory. I saw the cutest card for St. Patrick's Day made with this. They did the heart cutouts for each part of the clover and did 3 of them, and then just did a stem coming down. Yeah, that was a pretty card. So don't forget, I hate to have you miss out on celebration and the paper pumpkin. The March issue of the paper pumpkin is the one that it's their birthday month, so you get an extra stamp set, and it's going to be daisy themed. The box is really pretty with the daisies, so oh, thanks, Cindy. I like the softer tulips too. And hi, Kim. I didn't see you pop in. That's nice. So, yeah, just don't forget about the paper pumpkin. Can go in your cart to help you get towards the $60. A 3-month prepaid subscription costs $71, and that would get you your free celebration item. Or you could just do 1 month for $25, I think, and then add something else if you're trying to get to $60. So get your free stuff while you can, because we got to wait a whole nother year for celebration to come again. So if you I will have a project sheet available on my my backyardstamper.com website, and I have it ready to go. I just need to make sure I add the old olive, because I forgot the old olive, and change the berry burst to melon mambo, and then it'll be up on the website. So I hope you guys enjoyed tonight. It was fun seeing everyone, and I hope you will join me again next week. So thanks again for watching, and take care. Have a nice